और big welcome to all of you to this session today. आज उम्मीद की तरफ से हम सभी लोगों को नमस्ते बोलते हैं। आप लोग बहुत लोग कई अलग अलग जगहों से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं and we are really grateful that you are with us today, taking time off. So we all know that the numbers for COVID are really increasing. I think as of today morning, as I was looking at the news, we have more than 6 million positive cases who have tested positive till now in India alone. And as governments, central and state, make plans to open up, I think there is a greater need to understand how we can all be safe and keep our children safe. So today we have with us three very, very wonderful colleagues and friends who I will just briefly introduce and then turn over to them to tell us a little bit about themselves. We are privileged to have a very senior and eminent pediatrician from Mumbai, Dr. Mahesh Balsekar, who's at SRCC Children's Hospital as well as Breach Candy. We have with us Dr. Ashwini Joshi, who is a gynecologist and a parent. And she's also a member of the Forum for Autism, Mumbai's largest support group for parents of children with autism, of individuals with autism actually. And we have with us Prachi Deo, who is a sibling to a young adult with Down syndrome and also founder of Nai Disha Resource Center in Hyderabad. So in quick order, over to you, Dr. Balsekar, Ashwini and Prachi to introduce yourselves.
Hello to everybody. I'm Mahesh Balsekar. I'm a pediatrician. I'm the coordinator for pediatric medicine at SRCC Children's Hospital. And this was one of the few COVID pediatric hospitals in the country. I'm part of the COVID group in the hospital. And I'm also attached to Breach Candy and HN Reliance Hospital.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ashwini. I am an obstetrician and gynecologist and a parent to two children on the spectrum. And I'm glad I'm here because Umeed holds a very special place in my heart. I'm also a member of Forum for Autism, and thank you for having me here.
Prachi, you are on mute, please.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम प्राची है। मेरे बड़े भाई हैं जो अब अगले हफ्ते 47 हो जाएंगे, उनको डाउन सिंड्रोम है। और मैं नई दिशा रिसोर्स सेंटर नामक संस्था, जैसे कोयली ने बताया था, उसकी फाउंडर हूँ। नई दिशा एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ पेरेंट्स को जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए हो, जो भी जानकारी पालक ढूंढते हो, वो एक ही जगह उपलब्ध होती है। अगर वो अपने शहर में थेरेपिस्ट, डॉक्टर, स्कूल ढूंढ रहे हैं या कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए तो वो इस वेबसाइट को देख सकते हैं। थैंक यू कोयली फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी।
It's our pleasure to have all of you today. अगर हो सकता था तो हम आप सभी से बातें करते थे, आप सभी से इंटरैक्ट करते थे, क्योंकि हम सभी के पास बहुत सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस है जिनसे हम एक दूसरे से सीख सकते हैं। बट फॉर द सेक ऑफ टुडे एंड बिकॉज वी हैव लिमिटेड टाइम, आज हम क्या करेंगे कि हम हमारे जो तीन पैनलिस्ट्स हैं इनसे हम जानेंगे और इनसे हम थोड़ा सुनेंगे। तो आप लोग प्लीज बुरा मत मानिए, बट मैं आप लोगों को रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप अपने वीडियोस टर्न ऑफ कर दें और हम हमारे पैनलिस्ट्स के वीडियोस ऑन रखेंगे। तो हमारी कोऑर्डिनेटर अमी ये चीज में मदद करेगी। शी विल हेल्प एवरीबडी जस्ट keep the videos of the panelists on and turn the videos of the others off. Ami, did you get that, please?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I would like to start off this discussion and this panel today by going up to Dr. Balsekar and ask him to comment on what is the current situation with respect to COVID and children. So please tell us a little bit about are children getting infected? How infective is it? To what rate, किस हद तक बच्चे लोगों को कोविड हो रहा है? So please tell us a little bit, sir.
So the good news is that children are infected less often than adults. For example, in America, the population of children is about 22% under the age of 18 years. But the number of children infected as a percentage of the total number has varied from 3 to 8%. That means they're much less likely to get infection. And once they get infection, the good part is that only 1 to 3% require a critical care or intensive care. So they are less severely affected. And also the mortality is only 0.3% of the total number of deaths. So the good part is that children are less often infected. And when they are infected, it is less severe and less likely to die from it. The situation in India, as you know, is that the infection rate is still about 7%, and it's probably at the peak, and hopefully it may be just about going down. So I think we are very much in the thick of the pandemic right now.
So thank you. डॉक्टर बालसेकर का कहना है कि अगर हम इसको देखें कि अच्छी बात ये है कि बच्चे लोगों में इन्फेक्शन होने की संभावना काफी कम है बड़ों से. इट इज अबाउट 3 to 8%, 3 से 8%. और जिन्हें हो भी रहा है उन्हें कई उनकी दिक्कतें कहीं कमी है, मतलब वो उतने सिवियर नहीं है जितना बड़ों में हम दिख रहा है. तो द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू डॉक्टर बालसेकर इज that what symptoms are present in children, because हम सुन रहे हैं कि बच्चों में और बड़ों में the symptoms may not be the same. So how are children presenting with COVID?
So children's presentation is slightly different from adults. About 45 to 50% have fever and cough, and about 10% have shortness of breath. Overall, about 60% or 2 out of 3 children will have either fever, cough, or shortness of breath. A running nose, which is a common viral symptom, is less common, occurs in about 15% of children. But like any virus infection, you can get headache, body ache. You can also get throat irritation, sneezing. And gastrointestinal symptoms are more common. Diarrhea, for example, is more common in children compared to adults. And about 15% have diarrhea. And about 10% can have nausea, abdominal pain, and vomiting. And loss of smell, which is so typically described in adults, is seen in only 1%, possibly because they don't realize and don't express it. But it's reported in only 1% of children. Children can have a different or atypical presentation of what is called MIS syndrome, which is an immune disturbance which comes about 2 weeks after the infection. And this often comes with gastrointestinal symptoms again. But typically these children come with skin rashes, red eyes like conjunctivitis, a red mouth and a red tongue, and sometimes with neurological symptoms. This occurs in about 1 in 300 children who get COVID. So this is called PIMS or the MIS syndrome, which can be quite severe in children.
Well, this is good to know. Just very briefly, डॉक्टर बालसेकर बता रहे हैं कि लगभग 60% बच्चों में कॉमन सिम्टम्स होंगे बुखार, खांसी और सांस लेने में थोड़ी दिक्कत. नाक से पानी बहना उतना कॉमन नहीं है, पर दूसरे वायरल इन्फेक्शंस के जैसे बच्चे लोगों को सिर में दुखना, शरीर में दुखना, ये हो सकता है. डायरिया या लूज मोशंस भी हो सकता है. 300 में से एक बच्चे में कुछ ज्यादा क्रिटिकल दिक्कतें हो सकती है, पर ये बहुत रेयर है, बहुत ही कम होता है, जिनमें रैश और अलग चीजें दिख सकती हैं, और ये लगभग इन्फेक्शन के 2 हफ्ते बाद ये चीजें देखने में आती हैं. So thank you for letting us know. I'm going to move on to Prachi now and ask her that, you know, as being part of the resource group, you must be in contact with so many parents. So what are you hearing from parents of children with special needs? What have been some of the concerns that they've been expressing? Please unmute yourself.
Every time I forget that. हमारे 14 सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स है जहाँ अलग अलग पार्ट्स ऑफ कंट्री से पेरेंट्स है, और एक कॉमन चिंता ये है कि हालांकि ये पाया गया है कि बच्चों में कोविड के सिम्टम्स कम दिखाई देते हैं, फिर भी ये कंसर्न है कि हमारे बच्चे ऑलरेडी कॉम्प्रोमाइज इम्यून सिस्टम होता है। सर्दी जुकाम जो बाकी बच्चों में होता है, हमारे बच्चों में और ज्यादा होता है। डाउन सिंड्रोम में कॉमन कंडीशन होती है कि रेस्पिरेटरी डिफिकल्टीज होती है काफी सारे बच्चों में या एडल्ट्स में जिनको डाउन सिंड्रोम होता है। तो इस कंडीशन में क्या हमारे बच्चों को ज्यादा रिस्क है कोविड की, ये एक चिंता है। सिमिलरली सेरेब्रल पैल्सी में जहाँ वीक मसल टोन होता है, बहुत सारे बच्चे और एडल्ट मोबाइल भी नहीं होते, तो आर दे मोर एट रिस्क कंपेयर टू न्यूरोटिपिकल चिल्ड्रन, वो एक कंसर्न है। और बहुत सारे बच्चों में सीजर्स होता है, बहुत दवाइयाँ रेगुलरली शुरू होती है, तो वो भी एक कंसर्न है कि ऑलरेडी इतना कुछ है हमारे बच्चों में, इसके ऊपर से अगर कोविड आता है तो रिस्क कितनी बढ़ जाएगी। तो ये एक कॉमन कंसर्न है सभी के लिए।
Prachi, those are very pertinent questions and concerns that are our children, maybe with Down syndrome, with cerebral palsy, those who have respiratory illnesses, those who have seizures, are they more prone to the COVID getting infected? And just even if they don't have those, are our children with special needs more prone? So we will circle back to that in a bit. But before that, I would like to ask Ashwini that here we are talking from our perspective, you know, our worries, our concerns. So from the perspective of a mother, can you talk from the children's perspective? What has been going on with them? What are they feeling and experiencing?
So I can in fact shed a better light because I have two children who are in an entirely different age group. So my older one is 11 and younger one is 4. The concerns were initially because of the lockdown. There was no school. There was total loss of structure. Shaunak didn't know what to do in the day. Neva was fine. As the lockdown progressed, in fact, the thing that they gave names to the lockdown worked very well for Shaunak. So lockdown 1 खत्म हो गया, lockdown 2 शुरू हो गया, तो वो बहुत predictable था उसके लिए. लेकिन as the lockdown progressed, there was no socialization. There was loss of therapy for Neva. So I didn't know what to do with that time. As the lockdown increased, शौनक की एंजाइटी होने लगी शुरू, ये कि मुझे अगर कोविड हो गया तो क्या, अगर मामा को हो गया तो क्या. थोड़ा टाइम लगा उसको वो सिंक होने में कि कोविड क्या है. तो अभी तक एंजाइटी ये सब कब खत्म होगा. एंड नीवा के लिए शी कैन नॉट गो आउट अ लॉट. उसको बहुत अच्छा लगता था बाहर जाने में, एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली नहीं आता. आई मीन शी कैन नॉट गो आउट. So these two concerns were there because of the lockdown and the infection and everything.
Yeah. So, Ashwini, I think you've presented the other side to it, that our children are at home. They are not able to go out, not able to step out. Parents are also worried. How will they socialize? What are they missing out on? And on the other hand, Prachi spoke about the concerns. What if they get infected? Are they more likely to get infected? So with both these quandaries, I'm going to circle back to Dr. Balsekar and ask him that, you know, you heard both how parents are in a fix. So the question is, are children with special needs more likely to get COVID?
So children with special needs are not more likely to get COVID because COVID is a respiratory infection. It goes from person to person. So they are not at more risk. However, those with underlying conditions are generally those with kidney problems, heart problems, lung problems, neurological problems. They belong to what you would call a high risk. So they are more likely to get a more severe form of the disease. Some of it is because of underlying neurological problems. They may not be able to cough out well, or there may be other neuro impairments. So they do belong to the group. Overall, about 3% of children land up with severe COVID in children. But those with underlying problems, it goes up to about 10%.
Okay. So, Dr. Balsekar का ये एक बहुत ही स्पष्ट और क्लियर मैसेज था कि just because हमारे बच्चे को डाउन सिंड्रोम है या ऑटिज्म है या लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी है या इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी है, केवल ये एक कारण नहीं है कि उसको कोविड होने के चांसेस ज्यादा है. पर अगर बच्चों को, और वो किसी के साथ भी हो सकता है, अगर दूसरी दिक्कतें हैं, उनको रेस्पिरेटरी या सांस की दिक्कतें हैं, उनको हार्ट की दिक्कतें हैं, किडनी की दिक्कतें हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली रिस्क बढ़ जाता है। तो ये उनका मैसेज था। So I'll come back to you, Dr. Balsekar, that so I think parents are wondering, and we had a question in chat also of a parent of a little baby. How safe is it for parents to step out with their children?
So there are two, three aspects to this. The first is that children under the age of 2 years, you cannot put a mask on them. So we have to be careful about that. So mask gives you a degree of protection. So that is not possible for very young infants. For young infants, when you go out, safe distancing is mandatory. So it is safe to go out only if distancing can be maintained. The good part, of course, we know is that outdoor, the risk of infection is far, far less than indoor. So if you're in a closed AC room with a lot of people, you're much more likely to get infected. Whereas if you go to a park or a garden, or if you go for a walk in your building compound, the risk is much low. So if you can maintain some good distancing, then I think children need an outing, and it's something which we would encourage.
So that's another very clear message. I think the idea is कि अगर हम ऐसे जगहों पे, खुली जगहों पे जा रहे हैं जहाँ पे लोग कम है, तो वहाँ पे इन्फेक्शन होने के चांसेस कहीं कम है, वीजा वी ऐसी जगह जहाँ पे एसी है, लोग ज्यादा है, और बंद जगहों के तुलना में। पर ये भी डॉक्टर बालसेकर पॉइंट आउट कर रहे हैं कि बच्चे जब 2 साल से कम उम्र के हैं, तो उन्हें मास्क वगैरह पहनने में बहुत दिक्कत होती है, या शायद वो पहन ही नहीं पाएंगे, तो तब सावधानी बरतने की ज्यादा जरूरत है। So I think your message is pretty clear, Dr. Balsekar, that safety measures are of course important. Circling back to Ashwini now, how has it been for our children with special needs? I mean, in terms of following these safety measures, being able to wear masks, to maintain social distancing, as Dr. Balsekar emphasized. Tell us what you think. Is it working?
Yeah.
Not working?
So again, with Shaunak, it's worked very well. We showed him a social story, the importance of wearing a mask, washing hands. So Shaunak very easily adapted to a mask. He was able to wear it. Of course, the part of maintaining a distance, because it's very natural for Shaunak to go to closer to people. So we went out at a time where we ensured that there were not many people around, and he usually goes with his grandparents. We also ensured that Shaunak washes his hands when he comes back. For him, a social story and a visual schedule helped as to go through the steps. However, I still face a lot of challenges with Neva. Neva is 4 years old, but she is not really willing to wear a mask at all. So for her, I have to ensure things like I tried a face shield. Again, it didn't work. I'm now trying to think of a mask which goes over the head instead of the ears, because I think that she may not be able to remove it. And I've also tried a face shield, but somehow she's not really coping with that. So the only thing, like Dr. Balsekar said, I do is I don't take her in crowded places at all. It's even for Shaunak. I just take her to the park where there is no crowd. I make it a point that I don't pick her up when I'm carrying her with my mask on, because the outer surface of the mask will be more likely to be like having germs. So that is the only thing. With Neva, washing hands worked very well with a song like wash, wash, wash my hands. Again, she likes to do that because she likes to play with water. We keep a sanitizer. She does apply the sanitizer. There are no issues with smell or any sensory issues regarding that. Shaunak has fairly taken it well. So I think a visual schedule and a social story helped for Shaunak.
So Ashwini, thank you. I think even between the stories that you shared from your own experiences, it's clear that some children are able to wear masks, follow schedules, but others may not be able to do that. उन्हें sensory issues हो सकती हैं, या just उनको ऐसी नई चीजें के साथ cope करने में भी दिक्कतें हो सकती है। So और ये सवाल हमारे पास काफी पेरेंट्स से आए हैं कि बच्चे मास्क नहीं पहन रहे हैं, या उन्हें सेंसरी इश्यूज हैं, या वो हमारी बात नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं कि कैसे उनको सेफ रखना है। तो पेरेंट्स किस तरीके से ये चीजों को इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं? what are some of the resources that parents can use to probably even teach or explain to their children how to stay safe?
Right.
Prachi, I'm coming back to you to help us with this here.
Okay. Could you start the slide? Allow me to share the screen.
Yeah, sure. Ami, will you do that, please?
Okay, I have access right now.
Okay, okay, great.
तो जैसे ही कोविड का खतरा बढ़ा था मार्च में, तब हमने खूब सारे रिसोर्सेज इकट्ठा किए हैं जिससे कि पेरेंट्स को फायदा हो सके। तो यहाँ पे मेरे पास एक लिस्ट है कि कौन से रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल है। कैन यू सी द स्क्रीन?
यस।
हाँ, तो मैं पहले बताऊंगी कि ये आपको कैसे मिलेगा। तो आप नई दिशा वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे, तो यहाँ पे जो मैंने सर्कल किया है रेड में, वहाँ पे कोविड आर्टिकल्स करके एक हेडिंग है जहाँ पे खूब सारे रिसोर्सेज साथ में डाले हुए हैं। तो किस प्रकार के रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल है, तो हमने ये भी बात के बारे में सोचा है कि अगर किसी घर में किसी परिवार वाले को कोविड हो जाता है तो क्या क्या करना होगा, फैमिली मेंबर्स को क्या क्या करना होगा, और ऐसे कौन से 9 संदेश है जो हमें हमारे बच्चों तक पहुंचाने हैं। वो सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग की बात हो सकती है, हाथ धोने की बात हो सकती है, मास्क पहनने की बात हो सकती है। तो इस प्रकार से अलग ये इंफॉर्मेशन यहाँ दी गई है। एक ऐसा इन्फोग्राफिक है जो लतिका रॉय टीम ने ट्रांसलेट किया है हिंदी में, जो जैसे डॉक्टर बालसेकर बता रहे थे कि कहाँ खतरा कम है, कहाँ खतरा ज्यादा है। ये इन्फोग्राफिक बहुत अच्छे से बताता है और हमें बार बार ये इन्फोग्राफिक देखना चाहिए ताकि हम खुद को बता सके कि हमारा क्या करना सेफ है, हमारे बच्चों के साथ क्या सेफ है करना और क्या नहीं है। हमने हेल्पलाइन भी इकट्ठा की है और अगर और लोग और इन्फॉर्मेशन जानते हैं तो वो हम हेल्पलाइन बढ़ाते रहेंगे कि किस प्रकार की हेल्पलाइंस अवेलेबल है। लॉकडाउन के वक्त डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस का खतरा था, तब वो इन्फॉर्मेशन हमने इकट्ठा की है। कौन सी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है जो और पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज काम करती है, वो हेल्पलाइन इकट्ठा की है। तो ये आप डाउनलोड करके अपने पास रख सकते हैं। इसके अलावा जो सोशल स्टोरीज की बात अश्विनी ने की थी, तो सोशल स्टोरीज कौन सी अलग अलग जगह से अलग अलग सोशल स्टोरीज वीडियोस हमने इकट्ठा किए हैं एक जगह और उनकी हाइपरलिंक मौजूद है ताकि आप वो सोशल स्टोरीज भी एक्सेस कर पाए। तो इस तरह की इंफॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल है कि आप क्या क्या कर सकते हैं। और अगर हमें सबको तैयार रहना कि अगर हमारे घर में किसी को कोविड होता है तो हमें क्या क्या चीजें करनी है, किस तरह तैयार रहना है इस सिचुएशन को सामने जाने के लिए, तो वो इंफॉर्मेशन भी मौजूद है। तो दीज आर द रिसोर्सेज कोयली दैट फैमिलीज कैन यूज एंड इट कैन बी डाउनलोडेड। आप वेबसाइट से डाउनलोड करके, अगर आप थेरेपिस्ट है, स्पेशल एजुकेटर है, आप डाउनलोड करके अपने पेरेंट्स को व्हाट्सएप द्वारा ये भेज सकते हैं ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन।
Thank you so much, Prachi, and we will share the link to the Nai Disha website and with everyone after this, so that families can access and therapists can access the resources that are available there. Dr. Balsekar, we are getting questions on chat from parents since we are talking about how to keep our children safe. So there are questions if there is a role for any specific diet, any specific nutritional supplements, and any specific preventive medicines to keep our children safe at this point.
So a lot of parents ask this question, and I think it's important. Children who are malnourished, they do much better with vitamin supplements, not only COVID, but measles, influenza, and all viral infections. So deficiencies of vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin A, that leads to a more severe viral infection. So giving high doses of these supplements to those who are malnourished is extremely helpful. For those who are well nourished, it probably does not make a difference, but it makes good sense that children are indoors, not getting enough sunlight. So one routine multivitamin with some zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, if you give, I think that's a reasonable thing to do. There are no preventive medicines for COVID, and just general health, exercise, sleep, nutrition, and a vitamin supplement. That's all we should do. And of course, take all the usual precautions.
So thank you. I think that makes sense. So I'll quickly say that in Hindi. डॉक्टर बालसेकर बोल रहे हैं कि अगर बच्चे लोग बहुत कुपोषित हैं या उनकी पोषण की स्थिति अच्छी नहीं है तो फिर डेफिनेटली हाई डोज ऑफ विटामिन्स और सप्लीमेंट्स की जरूरत है। पर फिलहाल वैसे भी अगर अभी सब बच्चे लोगों को जिंक विटामिन डी वगैरह दिया जाता है, अगर आपके पीडियाट्रिशियन और जनरल प्रैक्टिशनर के पास आप जाके उनसे बात कर सकते हैं इस बारे में। एंड बाकी ऐसा और कुछ स्पेसिफिक मेडिसिन नहीं है जो बच्चे लोगों को दे सकते हैं। However, जस्ट अच्छा खाना, अच्छा पोषण, उनके सोने और खेलने वगैरह के रूटीन को मेंटेन करना बहुत जरूरी है। We have questions that in addition to the risk factors that you already spoke about, Dr. Valsekar, can bronchitis or asthma be a risk factor?
Surprisingly, three conditions which were risk factors for influenza, that is young children, a pregnancy, and those with underlying asthma, they used to have a very bad time with H1N1 and swine flu and influenza. Fortunately, pregnancy and children escape relatively lightly, so that is a good thing. And very surprisingly, those with asthma do not have a worse attack of COVID. So they'll get COVID just like everybody else, but it's not a risk factor for a very complicated COVID course. However, COVID can cause pneumonia, it can cause bronchitis, it can cause laryngitis. So all the respiratory infections can take place. But asthma, fortunately, is not a major risk factor.
Okay. I think many parents might be relieved to hear that अगर बच्चे को एज़मा है तो जरूरी उसको कोविड होने का उतना ही रिस्क है या चांस है, और नहीं होने का उतना ही रिस्क या चांस है जिसी और किसी बच्चे को है। और ऐसा नहीं है कि एज़मा होने से उसको ज्यादा कोविड के ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशंस होंगे। पर डॉक्टर बालसेकर ने ये भी बोला कि कोविड के इन्फेक्शन की वजह से बच्चे लोगों में सांस लेने की दिक्कतें, न्यूमोनिया जैसे सिम्टम्स जरूर दिख सकते हैं। Okay, so I think now the next question is, we've spoken about safety measures, right? I mean, of course, everyone is going to do their utmost to stay safe, wear masks, make sure that we do social distancing. But things are opening up, parents are stepping out, we are all stepping out. So now if a parent or an adult in the family tests positive, Dr. Balsekar, what are the next steps that parents should be doing? Parents have asked, this is the most common question that has been asked in the registration, and also it's coming up on the chat. So please enlighten us.
So when there is an adult member who is infected in the family, the transmission or infection in other family members is about 15 to 20%. So it's quite high. But fortunately, in children, somehow the infection rate is much lower, as we had discussed. So only about 5% of children get infection. So they're about a third or a quarter of less likely to get infection. But 90% of infection in children comes from adults because they don't go out and they don't get infected. So that is the source of infection for children. So when a child is in a family where there is an infection, quarantining a child is sometimes difficult because a child may not be willing to stay with somebody else. Many families ring up and say, can we keep with our grandparents or somebody else? No, they are not going to be willing to stay with somebody else. Also, if the child gets an infection from a parent and you send that child to a grandparent who is more at risk for severe disease, that also is a little tricky. So generally speaking, by the time you diagnose COVID in an adult and you get the test report, several days have passed. So it doesn't make too much sense to ship the baby away from the home unless it's very practical and easy. So you have to maintain distances as much as possible and practical. You have to sanitize. Of course, you have to wear a mask. You have to sleep at a safe distance from the child, because if you're sharing the same room, then that becomes a problem. And not everybody has the luxury of having many rooms for everybody to have separate rooms either. So I think if you follow these principles, I have not had too much problem. And children, even if they've got it, they've all got a very mild attack and they've all escaped without any complication.
So, Dr. Valsekar बता रहे हैं कि obviously क्योंकि बच्चे लोग उतना बाहर जाते नहीं है, तो 90% बच्चे लोगों को जब इन्फेक्शन होता है तो सोर्स एक अडल्ट ही है। पर वो ये भी बता रहे हैं कि अगर किसी एक घर में एक बड़े को या बुजुर्ग को कोविड हो रहा है, तो बाकी घर के सदस्यों के इन्फेक्ट होने के चांसेस 15 से 20% है, 15 to 20%। बट बच्चों के इन्फेक्ट होने के चांसेस है लगभग 5%, जो कि 1/3 या 1/4 है। अगर किसी बड़े को इन्फेक्शन हो रहा है तो आप वही क्वारंटाइन करना, बच्चे को टोटली अलग रख देना या उसके दादा दादी या नाना नानी के पास भेज देना जरूरी नहीं है कि ये पॉसिबल होगा, क्योंकि हम तब 2 और बुजुर्ग लोगों को भी रिस्क में डाल रहे हैं, राइट? तो घर पे रह के माता पिता किस तरीके से, शायद अगर हो सके बच्चा अगर थोड़ा दूर रहे, थोड़ा अलग रहे, घर पे भी अगर पेरेंट्स मास्क पहन के घूमे, तो ये सब चीजें फॉलो करना बहुत जरूरी है। So Dr. Balsekar, now if a parent or an adult has tested positive, one or more, then should a child get tested? And if yes, then knowing the kind of children that we work with and the parents who are represented here, what could be the preferable way to test a child for COVID?
So the way in which you test a child and an adult is the same. The antigen test is a quick test, so it's done in the hospital setting for a quick diagnosis. So that is not used in clinical practice. So when you're doing what you call contact tracing, you have to do the standard nasopharyngeal swab or the nose swab. And this test is called the RT-PCR. It's done in the same way. A small swab stick is put through the nose up to the throat and you get a swab. So the same test is done. When should the test be done? The test is done if the child develops symptoms, that same symptoms which we discussed, fever, cough, shortness of breath, etc. Or it is done normally about 7 days after last exposure to the person contacted. Because if you do it too early, you get the wrong report, because the incubation period ranges from 2 to 14 days, but the average incubation period is about 5 to 6 days. So generally, if you test the child, it should be done about 7 days after last exposure.
Okay, so डॉक्टर वालसेकर बता रहे हैं कि टेस्ट में कोई फर्क नहीं है, बच्चे और बड़ों के लिए इट्स द सेम टेस्ट, और जो टेस्ट सबसे रिलायबल है जो किया जाता है उसको RT-PCR और या बोलते हैं, जो कि बच्चे के नेजोफेरेंजियल स्वॉब से लिया जाता है अंदर डाल के। और कब करना है ये टेस्ट? एकदम अगर किसी और के साथ वो कांटेक्ट में आए हैं तो एकदम तुरंत नहीं करना है, क्योंकि तब पहले कुछ दिनों में शायद वो बराबर से रिजल्ट ना दिखाए, और थोड़े दिनों बाद करना है। और दूसरा, जब बच्चा सिम्टम दिखाना शुरू करता है तो डेफिनेटली टेस्ट करने का टाइम हो सकता है। तो अभी मैं प्राची को पूछूंगी कि many parents have commented that how will we get our child to go through a swab test, right? We know how hard it is to even get a blood draw. Now, how will we get somebody to put a swab down their nose and get that tested? So the way that you were talking about resources before, are there resources that can help parents explain how to do a nasopharyngeal swab?
Abhi, we are in the process of building social stories around the swab test, but I will, so we can definitely share it once it's ready. But regarding the blood test, of course, there are a lot of social stories available. And I'll share a few examples जो बाकी पेरेंट्स ने बताया है, जिसमें उनको करना पड़ा स्वॉब टेस्ट अपने बच्चों के लिए और वो कैसे कर पाए। तो एक फैमिली है, एक हमारी फ्रेंड है हमारे कम्युनिटी में, उसने बताया कि जब उनकी माँ इन्फेक्ट हुई थी तब उन्होंने अपने बेटे को, वो एक ही घर में रहते थे, तो दूर से दिखाया कि कैसे स्वॉब टेस्ट हो रहा है। और फिर जब उनको अपने बेटे, उनको खुद को भी करना पड़ा, तब उन्होंने उनको प्रिपेयर किया कि आपको भी करना है स्वॉब टेस्ट, आपका भी होगा मेरे पास। और जब बच्चे को करना पड़ा तब उन्होंने काउंटडाउन मेथड से उनके साथ स्वॉब टेस्ट करा लिया कि बस 10 से 1 तक गिनेंगे तब तक वो हो जाएगा। तो इस तरह वो कर पाए हैं।
Okay, thank you. And it's interesting how parents come up with such creative ways to figure their ways out such issues. I think, you know, the logical fear is, okay, now if I get my child tested and he or she turns positive or has a positive result, now does that mean I will have to hospitalize my child? And many parents, they they want to know, can we just manage a child at home? Do we need to hospitalize the child? Dr. Balsekar, what do you think?
So children need hospitalization in less than 5% of cases. So that means 19 out of 20 children are not going to require hospitalization. If you take the large number of asymptomatic undiagnosed children, that 5% will probably go even much, much lower. So we explain to the parents the red flags or signs of complications. If the fever is high and unmanageable, if the cough is prominent, if the child is getting breathless, if the child is drowsy, if the food intake is inadequate, if there are skin rashes or red eyes, or mothers know that the child is not looking okay or looking sick, then these children need to be seen immediately. But generally, we manage all these patients on the phone and just make sure that things are going well. This pulse oximeter is something which a lot of adults do to see what the oxygen recording is. But these are not of good quality and difficult to put a young child's finger in it, and often you get wrong reports. But if you do it in an older child who is coughing to make sure that things are okay, then the pulse oximeter reading above 95 is considered to be reassuring or safe. If it goes below 94, then it means that things are not going okay and you have to get the child checked in a hospital.
I think what I'm also hearing you say is that if we know that there is an adult contact, that there is exposure, possible and probable exposure, and that there are somewhat even related symptoms, there is a fever, there's a cough. So a much higher degree of suspicion and much higher degree of surveillance is merited, right? I mean,
Correct.
yeah, okay. So अगर और ज़रूरी नहीं है कि ये डिसीजन हम खुद से ले लें, आप पेरेंट्स अपने पीडियाट्रिशियन या डॉक्टर के साथ कांटेक्ट में रह सकते हैं और मिलके ये डिसीजन ले सकते हैं कि अभी बच्चे की स्थिति क्या है, उसके सिम्टम्स क्या है, उसकी उम्र क्या है। तो ये सब डिसीजन लेके ही सोचना है कि बच्चे को हॉस्पिटल लेके जाने की ज़रूरत है कि नहीं है। Other questions that are coming up has also to do with breastfeeding, Dr. Balsekar, and parents are asking if what is it that we know about the risk of transmission through breast milk and breastfeeding?
So the virus does not go through the breast milk. So that is very clear. However, when you're handling the baby and in close quarters, it can go to the baby through your coughing, sneezing, and contact. The risk, however, is quite low if you take care. And now WHO, the American Academy, and everybody says very clearly that if you have COVID, unless you're very sick, it is possible to breastfeed the baby with all the precautions of masking, sanitizing, and minimizing contact when you're not feeding the baby. If you're very unwell and you cannot feed or it's not advisable, you can always express milk and give that to the baby, and that is also safe. So this is what is recommended.
So because we are still on the idea about staying safe and safety, so parents are also asking that, you know, is it the other side? Yes, masks are keeping us safe, keeping children safe, but how safe are masks themselves? Because people are getting worried that, you know, children are keeping masks on their faces. Will it impact their oxygen supply? How long can they safely keep a mask on?
So if unless you're exercising or there's visible discomfort, masks are totally safe. It is not unsafe unless you're under 2 years of age, in which case you can sometimes have breathing difficulties and they're not able to tell you. But masks are considered totally safe over 2 and especially over the age of 4 years. So that's not the risk.
And any specific masks that you recommend, and you know, are there guidelines about when it should be disposed? Like how long can they wear it and when should it get disposed of?
So a disposable mask should be used for 6 hours or it should be discarded if it gets wet. Sometimes you perspire and it gets wet because of secretions and other things, then you have to discard. Similarly, a cloth reusable mask is normally worn for 6 hours, but if it gets soiled or wet, then you have to discard and then wash it and then reuse.
Thank you. I think that's very important because we also know that many of our children also drool. So I think that's a very important thing that you've mentioned. I'm now going to circle back to Prachi, because I think another worry that parents are expressing, and it's not just a worry, it's also a situation that parents are encountering, that both parents have been diagnosed or detected as corona positive, or even probably to some extent are symptomatic. So what are ways in which parents can reach out for support? Who can they reach out for support? So what do you suggest, Prachi?
When Corona just came to India and when we were seeing early cases, हर कोई जो डायग्नोस हो रहा था वो हॉस्पिटल में जा रहे थे. अभी जब वी आर रीचिंग द पिक एंड वी आर इन द थिक ऑफ इट, वी नो कि जो भी घर में मैनेज होता है वो सब घर में मैनेज कर रहे हैं. तो ये चांसेस बहुत कम है कि माता और पिता दोनों भी हॉस्पिटलाइज होंगे. तो ये होते हुए भी हमें अपनी तरफ से तो तैयारी रखनी है. तो इस सिचुएशन के बारे में सोच के पेरेंट्स ने एक प्लान बनाना जरूरी है, जिसमें कि अगर ऐसी स्थिति आती है कि दोनों पेरेंट्स हॉस्पिटलाइज हो रहे हैं या जो भी प्राइमरी केयर गिवर है वो भी हॉस्पिटलाइज हो रहा है और घर में और कोई नहीं है, तो ऐसे हमने अभी बात की, डॉक्टर बालसेकर ने अभी ही ये कहा कि आप नाना नानी या दादा दादी को ना बुलाए क्योंकि वो ज्यादा रिस्क पे है. बट क्या कोई ऐसा है, आपके डिस्टेंट कजिन हो सकते हैं, आपके बहुत अच्छे नेबर हो सकते हैं जो उनके पास रह सके, तो ये सोचना जरूरी है. ये लिस्ट बनाने की जरूरत है कि मेरे बच्चे का मेडिकेशन कब देना है, मेरे बच्चे के प्रेफरेंसेस क्या है, वो खाने में क्या क्या प्रेफर करता है, उसको मनाना हो तो क्या क्या चीजों से उसको मनाया जा सकता है. तो ये तैयारी हम पेरेंट्स को रखनी है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, पेरेंट सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स है, बहुत सारे पेरेंट सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स में डॉक्टर्स है. तो एंड वी हैव सीन दैट पेरेंट्स आर एट द फोरफ्रंट ऑफ हेल्पिंग ईच अदर. तो अगर कुछ दिक्कतें आती है तो पेरेंट्स एक दूसरे को रीच कर सकते हैं, अपने कम्युनिटी में बात कर सकते हैं. सेकेंड चीज है, नई दिशा की भी एक हेल्पलाइन है, चैट हेल्पलाइन है, जहाँ पे चैट कर सकते हैं वेबसाइट पे जाके. तो आपको जो मुश्किल आ रही है आप वहाँ पे बताएं, तो हम बाकी नेटवर्क में, वेदर इट इज अ प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क और पेरेंट नेटवर्क, उनसे कांटेक्ट करके आपकी जो दिक्कत है उसके लिए कोई सॉल्यूशन हो तो जरूर बता सकते हैं. एंड अदरवाइज आई थिंक अश्विनी विल, सॉरी.
Koili, I can just add one important point here. is that मैंने जो बताया कि बच्चे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के पास जाएंगे तो इन्फेक्शन ज्यादा है करके, मगर ये ऐसे ऑब्जर्व किया है कि बच्चे से अडल्ट को इन्फेक्शन देना बहुत लो रिस्क है. फॉर एग्जांपल स्कूल्स में उन्होंने स्टडी किया है कि एक अच्छा बड़ा अमेरिकन स्टडी है जिसमें 750 स्टूडेंट्स थे स्कूल में, और उसमें से 8 बच्चों को कोविड हुआ. मगर ये 8 बच्चों से दूसरे बच्चों को या पेरेंट्स को सिर्फ 3 केसेस में हुआ, यानी 250 में से एक को इन्फेक्शन हुआ. यानी बच्चे से अडल्ट को इन्फेक्शन होना 0.5% रिस्क है. So the risk is low. So while we have to be careful about grandparents and other people, if someone else volunteers to look after the child, it is not risky, because even if the child is infected, the risk is barely 0.5%. So if you take a little care, it's possible for anybody to look after the child.
I think thank you for making that very clear distinction about the need to be safe, but at the same time the need to be pragmatic. That I think to be aware that the risk of getting the infection from young children is very low for adults, and that if they are the ones who are, if grandparents are the only ones there who can offer support at a time like this, then we have to include them in the game plan. But Prachi, I think what you were saying is very important. You told us that there is a need to have a plan for families, right? कि ये सब करने के बावजूद भी एक plan परिवारों के लिए रखना बहुत जरूरी है, जिसमें केवल ये नहीं, ये तो होना ही जरूरी है कि अगर ऐसी स्थिति आती है तो कौन कौन लोग हैं जो बच्चे का ध्यान रख सकते हैं, पर साथ साथ में बच्चे को क्या पसंद है, वो क्या खाता है, उसकी दवाइयाँ क्या है, ये सब उसमें रखना, his medications, likes, preferences, all those things have to be kept. You mentioned the need to lean on parent support groups and the community. And that is, I think, very, very important. At this point, I want to reach out to Ashwini, who is also a member of the FFA COVID, Doctors for COVID group. And FFA as a body has been doing incredible work in supporting families of individuals with autism. So tell us a little bit about how FFA has supported families, and especially if there have been cases where both families have been, corona positive, and what has FFA done to support them?
So about in June, the group was formed by the core members of Forum for Autism. I think the formation of the group was mostly because there was so much of anxiety in parents on the same question: what if one of the parent or both parents do test positive? What then? And there were a lot of doubts, which was like we discussed about the type of masks to wear, which are and when the cases started increasing, even going for basic clinical care, which was not COVID related, were the issues. So the core members formed a group, and almost 12 doctors, who are parents as well, have come forward and volunteered for the same. So we started with putting up posts which had simple do's and don'ts, something to clarify the most common doubts which a parent can have. This led to a lot of discussions even in the group about what is the right thing to do in, for example, when to test, when not to test, when initially the testing was not open to all. So we had a lot of discussion, and the core members had put forth the do's and don'ts for the tests as well. Eventually there were two families who needed help. One particular family, the parents were having comorbid conditions and they were positive, and the child of course was like negative. Here the some of the members which were placed in that area talked with the hospital staff to tell them about the child's condition. At first the hospital was willing to admit the child and the couple also in a suite. However, with the help of certain physicians on our group, it was managed at home. The parents didn't need any admission, and a lot of talk went into talking to the parents to reduce their anxiety, because even it's easier said than done when you say that the parents are positive, but the anxiety about what if, who will manage the child's feeds, and everything comes into questions. The parents as doctors are able to support better in the day-to-day about like how to take a swab, which test to do, what not to do, whether going to a hospital at this juncture is needed or not, and online consultation. Some of the physicians have helped out with that. I think, and we are also spread over Mumbai. So there are doctors who are in Thane, there are doctors who are in Kandivali, there are few who are in Andheri in South Mumbai. So we know the list of fever clinics. We know the like the dealers who deal with certain drugs, which we can help out in the contact numbers. We've also helped out in telling the list of COVID and non-COVID hospitals where the parents can go to safely for their basic conditions like blood pressure, diabetes, which are not COVID related. So I feel we have helped. There has been a lot of support from Forum for Autism doctors in regarding to taking decisions like whether we need to get admitted or not. So I feel, yeah, it's helped a big deal. And the second family was almost all the members were positive. Two children on the spectrum were positive and one was negative. Again, with the help of the hospital authorities, all of them were isolated in the house. The quarantine happened in the house, and all the help was available. The Forum for Autism doctors talked with them to tell them it's okay, it's going to be fine. Even as simple as it's going to be okay helps.
Yeah. I think, both Prachi and Ashwini, you all have highlighted the incredible role that parent support groups, parent resources are playing in these trying times, and just incredible work. I mean, I think we have families from many, many different parts of the country today, and even some who have joined us from outside. And I think when parents come together, they support each other, they use science and evidence to help others, I think incredible work happens. So exciting to hear this. We are getting questions from families about how they can become members, how they can access resources like FFA and Naidisha, and we will try to provide links to all of you. Um, there have been some questions on the chat, Dr. Balsekar, about the safety of vaccines. So we have a question from somebody in Bhutan who is speaking about how a mass influenza campaign has been carried out in Bhutan, and is there a chance that this might trigger autism? And the other question is related to the safety of the polio, the pulse polio drive, and those who are coming home to give pulse polio drops to children. And is it safe, and are vaccines for other conditions recommended during these times?
So all important questions. The WHO is on record saying that complications and deaths due to vaccine preventable diseases may exceed deaths due to COVID in young children. So it's very important that you must vaccinate your children, at least the primary vaccines. So the under 1 year age group children who are unvaccinated, you must complete the vaccinations on time. The booster doses which you give at 18 months or 5 years, if you delay by a few months, then no harm done. But the infancy, when they are unvaccinated, the primary vaccines you must give. The second question was that influenza is being actively recommended, because the worry is that if you get influenza, which usually comes in the winter months, and COVID is also going around, so if both these infections take place at the same time, then the individual would have a very bad time. So that is why influenza is being promoted. In India, generally, it is recommended till 5 years. In America, they give it lifelong every year. So due to COVID, those who are above the age of 5 years, if you take influenza, I think that is a good idea. About the polio vaccines, I think it may not be a good idea to go to a center if there are queues, but I think even if you go to a center, nobody's going there, so you probably won't have a queue. But when they come to the building, it's possible to take that polio vial from the person and give it yourself. So I don't think it would be unsafe, because they all come quite well protected. So that should be given.
Yeah, I think you are letting all of us know that just having all the regular vaccines at this point is very, very important. And also to address another question, that can the influenza vaccine trigger autism? And I think the answer is no. Vaccines have not been shown to have any connection with autism. So please do not worry about that. But instead, let's focus on what Dr. Balsekar said, that if the influenza vaccine can prevent influenza and flu-like symptoms during this time, which is very, very important. We are getting quite a few questions about what is ideal in terms of travel and quarantine. So a parent has asked, how many days after travel should a parent get tested before coming in contact with a child, with a special needs child? So after how many days of travel is the recommendation for testing? I think that's the question. Yeah.
There is no clear answer to this. Historically, this travel and quarantine started when COVID was more common in other countries, and they were coming to countries where the incidence of COVID was less common. So you had to quarantine and be careful. But now with COVID across the country, whether you're coming from Delhi to Bombay or going from Bombay to Delhi, the risk is probably the same, because there's COVID everywhere. The only point for consideration is that during travel, if this person is more likely to have been exposed to COVID, and therefore you have to be more careful. Otherwise, it really doesn't make much sense. A travel also, the risk of COVID is relatively low. It's there is a definite risk, but it is a low risk. So I think for 7 days, if you keep a little away, then I think that is reasonable. I think to keep 14 days is very impractical. So I think that would be somewhat reasonable.
So that sounds really good. I'm going to lean on to Prachi and Ashwini for a specific question that has come up in the chat about a mother who's written that her full family has been detected by corona, and she's home quarantined because she has a 5-year-old who can't stay without me, and she finds it very difficult to push him away. So she doesn't understand what to do, and I'm wondering if Ashwini would like to share something, and if Prachi has anything to add.
Hi, so I'll take the question. Uh, a 5-year-old and a mother, so that assuming that the rest of the family is away. Again, like Dr. Balsekar said, the basic safety precautions would work here. The most important part would be the anxiety of the mother. So there is going to be a need for the mother to stay calm, because the child is going to pick up on that anxiety, and it's more about co-regulation. Of course, keep having a good plan as to how the child can spend his day. And this is not like we are talking about a long time. It's 14 days to maybe 17 days as is this. And we need just the time where she's going to be safe enough to go near him. At a distance, she can plan a day. He can there are great exercise videos on YouTube. We use them for Shaunak, and he loved it. Just a structure. And I think the anxiety of the mother, if it is low, it's going to help her.
Ashwini, I'm going to request you to say that in Hindi as well.
Yes. तो अगर बच्चे को मेनली बच्चा जो है वो आपकी जो एंजाइटी है वो पिक करेगा. अगर आप काम रहोगे तो बच्चा भी काम रहेगा. उसका जो दिन है वो अगर आप प्लान करोगे तो आपकी आधी एंजाइटी कम हो जाएगी. बहुत सी एंजाइटी इससे आती है कि हम क्या करें और पूरा दिन उसको कैसे एंगेज रखे, इसमें ज़्यादा एंजाइटी हो जाती है. तो अगर आप बैठ के लिस्ट करें कि उसको क्या अच्छा लगता है, क्या क्या टाइम पे आप क्या करोगे, और खुद भी आप क्या क्या दवा लोगे या डॉक्टर को कब मिलने जाना है, उस अराउंड बच्चे का प्लानिंग करोगे तो बहुत अच्छे से वो मैनेज हो जाएगा.
और हम ये भी ऐड करना चाहते हैं दैट अगर इस समय पे बच्चा थोड़ा ज्यादा मोबाइल देख लेता है तो कोई नुकसान नहीं है. इट इज ओके. It's okay if the children's screen time is increasing at this point, because I think it is helping the child stay engaged. It is helping us, hold on to our sanity, get other things done. So I guess we have to figure out what is more important at this point, and it's all right. Dr. Balsekar, we have educators and parents also in this group, and we are getting questions about what kind of, what could be suggestions for parents and school people to keep in mind when school reopens. I think that's the biggest thing now on everybody's minds, that abhi school khulne wala hai, school is going to open. What could be some things that we should keep in mind?
स्कूल कभी खोलना है, दिस इज अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन. और जर्मनी में दे हैड अ वेरी गुड एक्सपीरियंस विद स्कूल ओपनिंग, but they did it when the infection rate was 1%. In America, they are saying they'll open schools when the infection rate is 3%. Here, the infection rate is still 7%. So, till the level of infection in the community goes down to reasonable levels, it is not a good idea to open schools. When you open schools, it's a very important but a very complicated story. Now, young children need to go to school because of the social and other impact, and they cannot do any learning remotely. Older children can manage on the remote learning much more effectively. Also, young children do not infect others, and also young children don't get infected very easily. So how to start is going to be a very graded process. For example, children of doctors or frontline workers will need to go to work, because if they don't go, then the frontline workers cannot go and do their work. So the younger children, in a graded manner, with adequate spacing, that's how it's done. Older children will probably go to school a little later because they can manage remotely much more easily. So it has to be done in steps, and which family has to be done, all that has to be taken into consideration.
I think that these have to be collaborative and joint decisions between school authorities and parents, and of course local authorities. तो डॉक्टर बालसेकर बोल रहे हैं कि स्कूल कब खोलना है, स्कूल जाते समय कौन से प्रिकॉशन लेने हैं, इसका अनफॉर्चुनेटली जवाब एकदम सादा या सरल नहीं है। जैसे जो बिल्कुल जो छोटे बच्चे हैं, उनको स्कूल में जो सामाजिक मेल भाव करने का मौका मिलता है, वो उनके विकास के लिए सीखने के जो मौके मिलते हैं वो बहुत जरूरी है। और साथ साथ में ये भी है कि छोटे बच्चों से दूसरों के इन्फेक्ट होने के चांसेस कम हैं। तो ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि ग्रेडेड तरीके से शायद स्कूल्स खोलने की सोच सकते हैं, जहाँ पे कुछ बच्चे लोगों को पहले बुलाया जाए, और ऐसा हो सकता है कि जो बड़े बच्चे हैं वो शायद थोड़ा बाद में ज्वाइन करें। पर फिर भी ये एक बड़ा डिसीजन है जिसमें काफी फैक्टर्स इन्वॉल्व है। जैसे एक चीज है कि जिन बच्चों के माता पिता फ्रंट लाइन वर्कर्स हैं, जो हेल्थ केयर में हैं, ऐसे सर्विसेज में हैं जहाँ पे उनको काम पे जाना बहुत जरूरी है, तो वहां पे उनके बच्चों के अगर वो स्कूल जाते हैं तो ये सिचुएशन इजी होता है उनके पेरेंट्स के लिए। So Dr. Balsekar's point, and we all agree, is that there are multiple factors that need to be considered before we start talking about opening schools and similar things.
Koili, I'll
Um,
just add a point.
yes, please.
So once the school opens, there are written guidelines by many professional bodies about how the spacing has to be done. It has to be done in shifts, about how many teachers to how many students, and how the benches have to be arranged. That older children must wear masks, but young children need not. But teachers have to wear masks when they're teaching older children, but young children, they need not if distancing is possible. So all that is written down, and I'm sure when schools open, the schools will be told how to do it. So I think it can be done in a safe manner. It's important that we do it in the correct manner.
राइट। तो गाइडलाइंस अवेलेबल है, और डेफिनेटली स्कूल्स और अथॉरिटीज उनको ध्यान में रखेंगे, क्योंकि अभी बहुत सारे देशों में स्कूल्स खुल रहे हैं, उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस से गाइडलाइंस ड्रॉ अप किए जा रहे हैं। अभी हम थोड़ा देखेंगे कि चैट में और कौन से सवाल हैं, पर बिफोर वी मूव ऑन ओनली टू द चैट, आई वांट टू आस्क कि क्या आप तीनों के कोई स्पेसिफिक मैसेजेस हैं, की मैसेजेस हैं जो आप हमारे सब आज श्रोता को, हमारे ऑडियंस को देना चाहेंगे? डू यू हैव एनी important points that you want parents and caregivers and professionals to keep in mind? So we'll go to Ashwini first, and then we'll go to Prachi. We'll come to Dr. Balsekar after that.
So I'll first talk in English.
Okay.
Two important things. One, don't hesitate to test yourself. As parents of special needs children, we are hoping that it is not COVID. We are hoping that it is everything but COVID. Even dengue bhi chalega, lekin COVID nahi. But please test early, because it is for your safety. The earlier you test, the better you will be there for your child. The second thing is, as caregivers, don't be so stressed out that you don't step out at all, because there are few friends of mine who have not stepped out of their house for anything, and that is going to increase your anxiety, because we don't know how long we are in this for. अगर आपको मतलब दो चीज़ें मैं बताना चाहूँगी। एक है कि आप अगर कुछ सिम्टम्स दिखाते हो तो आप डरिए मत, जल्दी टेस्ट करवाइए। जो भी हो जल्दी होना है वो सबसे अच्छा प्लान मैनेज होता है कोविड में। दूसरा है, आप इतना भी मत डरिए कि आप बाहर ना जाए। आप एक करेक्ट टाइम पे, जब गर्दी कम है या लोग कम है, उस टाइम पे आप खुद के लिए बाहर निकलो तो आपका स्ट्रेस कम हो जाएगा।
Thank you, Ashwini. Prachi, you want to tell us something that you think is really important?
So I'm a caregiver to 3 people, and 2 with chronic conditions. So I'm going to present the other side of what Ashwini said also. तो आप बाहर जरूर जाइए, बट हमेशा ध्यान रखिए कि आपके घर में ज्यादा एट रिस्क लोग हैं, तो हर बार वो डिसीजन लेना इम्पोर्टेंट है। हर बार वो कौन सी चीज ज्यादा सेफ है, कौन सी चीज ज्यादा रिस्की है, उसका हिसाब लगाते हुए हर बार डिसीजन लीजिए। जो चीज बिना बाहर जाए ऑर्डर करके हो सकती है वो शायद ठीक है। ऑफकोर्स पार्क में जाना अच्छा है, आप वो कीजिए, तो वो कीजिए। और अगर एक तो हमारी कंट्री में डेथ रेट्स कम रहे हैं, और हमारी कंट्री में माइल्ड सिम्टम्स ज्यादा रहे हैं, तो अगर कोविड हो भी जाता है तो डरने की कोई बात नहीं है। ज्यादातर फैमिलीज हमने देखा है अभी हमारी कम्युनिटी में 36-year-old पर्सन विद डाउन सिंड्रोम, 40-year-old पर्सन विद डाउन सिंड्रोम, उनको भी कोविड हुआ था, बट सब अच्छी तरह से उससे निकल के वापस आए हैं, अभी हेल्दी है, रेगुलर काम कर रहे हैं। और अगर आपके घर में किसी को कोविड होता है, आपको खुद को होता है, तो बी इजी ऑन योरसेल्फ। आप किसी से भी मदद मांगने से मत झिझकिए, वेदर वो आपकी कम्युनिटी है, आपके कम्युनिटी वाले मदद करेंगे। हमारे यहाँ केस हुई थी कि एक माँ अकेली थी, when कोविड हैपेंड, उनकी माँ को हुआ था, तो वो अकेले अपने बेटे को संभाल रही थी क्योंकि पिताजी कहीं और थे और वहां पे भी कोविड हुआ था उनकी फैमिली में। तो उस केस में उन्होंने कहा कि कम्युनिटी ने बहुत मदद की, ग्रोसरीज लाना, ये सब करना, बहुत मदद हुई। आप खाना भी बाहर से मंगा सकते हैं। जो चीजें आप अपने बच्चे को रेगुलर सर्कमस्टेंसेस में नहीं करने कहते कि ये मत करो, ये जैसे हमने मोबाइल की बात की या स्क्रीन टाइम की, तो इस टाइम पे वो सब ठीक है। आप खुद को भी वो परमिशन दे दीजिए और बच्चे को भी दे दीजिए, क्योंकि आपका काम है कि ऐसी सिचुएशन में बच्चा घर में रहे। तो जस्ट बी इजी ऑन ऑल ऑफ यू। शायद नेटफ्लिक्स बहुत काम आएगा ऐसे टाइम।
Yeah.
So those were the things I wanted to share.
Yes. From one caregiver to others, that's very important messages. To take care of yourselves as caregivers, to go easy on yourselves, and to figure out what can make life somewhat easier during these times. So thank you, Ashwini and Prachi. Dr. Balsekar, what is it that you would want to emphasize and highlight for us, in addition to all that you've told us, of course?
I think the important thing here is that the pandemic of COVID has led to many other pandemics, as you know. And there's a pandemic of mental health issues, of domestic problems, and impact on mental health of parents, children, of caretakers, hospital people, everybody. So I think it's very important that parents should look after themselves, their own mental health, see that they look after themselves, they have a routine, and only if they are mentally well and energetic can they look after the children. Going to take at least another 6 to 9 months before things are really eased out a little bit. So it's going to take a lot more time. Children do very well when parents do well. Children do well when they have productive routines. So it's very important that the routine has to be established even though they're not going to school. So they get regular sleep, they have some options for exercise and movement, and they have a learning time, but they also have free time, and the mood has to be up. And if the parents all this, I think the children uniformly do well. I think that's what we need to really look at.
Thank you. These are such important messages. And we are getting questions from parents in the chat and also during registration about issues related to hyperactivity, irritability in children, about how to manage their own levels of stress, how to manage behaviors. And while that has not been the key focus of this talk today, there are lots of resources that are available at the Nai Disha Resource Center, even on the Ummeed webpage. We have Ummeed has a YouTube channel. There are lots of videos that have been developed to help families figure out how to keep their child busy, how can they teach their children new skills, how to take care of their child's mental health, their own mental health. So I hope people will reach out and utilize those resources. But now I want to extend my sincere gratitude to all three of you for taking your time and sharing with us all these wonderful things. It's been an incredible hour and it has just gone by. And from all of us, we want to acknowledge that it's been incredibly useful. So Dr. Balsekar, Dr. Ashwini, and Prachi, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And I hope that you will all stay safe and you will all sail through this. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us. Thank you.